So voila, okay. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. It's a pleasure to connect with you today. My name is Nivert Noberasco. I work at the UN Library and Archives Geneva for the Commons, which is our space for knowledge sharing and discussion on multilateralism, and where we also organize different events, workshops, podcasts, and other activities. So today I'm here with my colleagues, Hermine Diebol, an archivist, and she is also the chief of the archive management unit. So she's the most knowledgeable one about the archives. And my colleague, Nathalie Alexander, of the Commons. So a big part of our mission in the Library and Archive is to become a center for research on multilateralism. And it's important for us to hold these sessions with you, students, as well as researchers, diplomats, and others who are working in the field of international relations. So we can best support you in your research through access to the wealth of resources that we have. So today, my colleague Hermine has organized this session with you to explore the UN Archives Geneva and the documents that we have. Today's topics. So if we dive a little bit in and look at what we will be exploring today, we will have a look on what UN Archives Geneva does in general, our 5 archival categories according to our standards, exploring the UN Archives Geneva platform and how to navigate it, how to conduct research in the most efficient way, and also the available services and resources that you can use and get from Library and Archive in Geneva. So the UN Archive Geneva is the official repository of all documents produced or held in UN Geneva that have enduring administrative records and historical archival value. So the core mission of the UN Archive is to preserve and provide access to these primary resources. It can be complex to understand which archival documents are managed by the UN Library and Archive in Geneva and how the funds and collection are organized. So we have created 5 high-level archive categories to group the funds thematically. So we have the League of Nations Archives, the UN Geneva Archives, the private papers, the international peace movements, and some additional collections. So together, the archives in these categories make more than 13 linear kilometers of boxes placed side by side. So it's like really long. What we have also is the 2 parts of our archives are registered in the UNESCO Memory of the World Register, which exists to raise awareness of the world documentary heritage. And it's to advocate for this heritage to be fully preserved and protected. So just to tell you the importance of these documents. The League of Nations archives were inscribed in 2009 and in 2025. The archives documenting the drafting of the International Bill of Human Rights between 46 and 66 were inscribed. This means that these archives have been recognized as unique collection of global significance. And part of this, what we have a huge digitalization projects. It was another project that we have is it was a major part of our work is to ensure that we digitize this archive and to ensure that they are preserved and accessible to all. So a major project was the digitalization of the League of Nations archive. All the collections are fully available online, text to digital access to the League of Nations archive, which we call it for short LONTAD, which consisted of the digitization, online access, and preservation, both physical and digital, of the complete records of the leagues from 19 to 46. So this major digitization project, we started in 2017, closed its operation in 2022, was made possible by a donation from a very generous Swiss foundation. Partnership with the Center of Digital Humanities and Multilateralism, which is located in the Graduate Institute, is aiming to promote the rich intellectual and archival heritage of the Geneva Graduate Institute the UN Archives in Geneva, and the International Governmental and Non-Governmental Organization of International Geneva, thanks to scientific conferences and publications, and the creation of thematic digital libraries of relevance to researchers and teaching on multilateralism. So focused mainly on digitizing specific collections. We have some figures on about the LONTAD project. So I don't know if you like figures or not, but it took us like more than 150 hours of work to digitize all these documents. So it was a lot of work. There were plus 20 staff working on it. And these 20 staff plus they were from 15 different nationalities. So it was really a very international project that it was put in place and to make it happen. So voila, so there is a lot of figures we can share with you if you are interested about the LONTAD project. But now I think I'm not going to go into these details, and we'll pass to my colleague Hermine, who is going to now take you through how you can access the archive through the UN Archives Geneva platforms. So Hermine is very experienced, and she will go step by step to show how to navigate our platform. However, if you have questions, or if you want to take more notes, or if you want to interrupt, just don't hesitate to say, just, this is too quick, I missed this info, can you re-demo this? And we are very happy, and Hermine is very happy to do it for you. So take it easy and let's start. Hermine.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nivert. Yes, indeed. It's a very great opportunity that we are a small group, so don't hesitate. We can do it more interactive. It will be very happy. So what we are going to show today in the platform is what you are going to be able to consult online, what is digitized, how to understand what is available on the platform, but also how to consult the description or get access to the inventories of the archives that are not digitized or described on the platform, to plan your visit, to come to the reading room here at the UN Archives Geneva. Let me share my screen to go directly on the platform. Good. So here you say on the main page, we can see this blue browse box with the 5 archives categories that were mentioned by Nivert. And in each archive category, we will indicate what has been digitized or not. So let's start with the League of Nations archives. And here, as we already mentioned, all has been digitized, and that's why you will be able to consult more than 40 million pages, 14 million pages online. We are going to start with the League of Nations Secretariat, where I will explain you some concepts to help you search. So first, you can see how the fonts, archival fonts in general, are organized with a hierarchical structure. Here we have a tree view structure when you can see the highest level, which corresponds to the organization, the institution. Here is the secretariat. And then we can go down in lower level when you get more specified on what you are looking at. On our platform, I recommend you to use the context zone we have filled for you to have more information on what kind of archives you are going to consult. For instance, here, in the case of the fonts of the League of Nations Secretariat, if you go down, you will see all this description, and you will have the context area zone, where you will find an administrative history of the League of Nations, which a lot of information that can be useful to understand what you are going to visualize. You will find this kind of context information on the highest level, generally on the fonts, and sometimes in the subfonts if it applies. In the case of the League of Nations Secretariat, you can see that the lower level under the fonts, which are called the subfonts, corresponds to the sections of the Secretariat. So here you have a clear view of how was organized the Secretariat of the League of Nations. These sections were the administrative units, specialized in different fields or activities. You can see that you have economic and financial section, health and social, information, legal, mandates. All the activity of the League of Nations will be reproduced here, of course. Now, what it's important to understand also how are they organized, the archives, is to see how the archives were constituted. So we will take the example of the political section and to see what is the difference between the registry files and the section files. And what I'm going to explain to you now to summarize, you will be able to find it again. Sorry, so I go back to the level of the fonts. Here on the system of arrangement, how is the system of registry and section files? But we will do it shorter. So let's take the example of the political section, which was used at the time of the League of Nations. It was a diplomatic service within the Secretariat, and it has a responsibility to deal with international tension affairs, or also to deal with admission and withdrawal demands to the League of Nations. And here you see that we have these registry files and section files, and this separation between the files, you will find them in nearly all the sections. Okay, it's the separation that you will find along. What is this system of registry? It's a system that was implemented at the beginning of the League of Nations following the practice of the British Ministry of Foreign Affairs, from which Eric Drummond, the first Secretary General, came. It's a very well organized system where each document received or produced by the different sections of the Secretariat of the League of Nations had to go through the registry office to be processed. And that way, every document was indicated with a code, with a ref code, and was able to be tracked and found in the correct file. That allows us to have today a very well organized system of registry files, and that where we have the file together by topic. What we have in the registry file is all the official correspondences, all the official reports that were seen by the section of the League of Nations. It was an administrative obligation to go through the registry file. Let's take this example of political section and go to the period of 1928-1932, because within the League of Nations, the registry system decided to, at the time of the League, to separate in 3 time periods, because the structure of the League has changed and they adapted to the new section or subsection. Let's go to the political general, and we are going to see the example of the Sino-Japanese dispute for Manchuria. So let me go down here and to see the example of the Lytton report, the Commission of Inquiry that was sent by the League of Nations, where Mr. Lytton went on site to see what was happening between China and Japan on Manchuria. If we go down and we open, we go at the lowest level, so at the file level here, we will be able to consult the description of the file. So it's short, but you have the ref code, the title, and the date, the languages also. And if you want to consult the file, you only have to click on the image, accept the copyright notice, and the document will be downloaded on your browser, but you can after save it on your computer if you want. Here what we have is a typical registry file. You see, so you have this file with all the elements indicated, the title of the report, and also on the first page you have the mention on who has consulted this file at the time of the League of Nations with the date of the consultation. If you go down in this file, you can see the final report, the Lytton report that was published. And here you have the text of this report available for you. But what is interesting in the archive of the League of Nations, and that's why we have chosen this example, is that next to the registry file, we have another kind of files which are called the section files here. And what they are is that the staff at the time of the League of Nations, even though they had to follow the administrative rule to register any document received or produced by the section through the registry system, the human being doesn't like rules in general. So they started to constitute their own documentation, their own files for their section, and they kept it away from the registry files. And at the end of the time of the League of Nations, when, let's say, when there is a move to be installed in the currently Palais des Nations, there is an administrative circular saying that all the archives that have been constituted during this time away from the registry system has to be transferred to the archive service. And these files constitute the section files. And it's very interesting because the content of these files completes the registry file. What we will find, for instance, in the section files, it's a lot of draft, a lot of press clipping, a lot of document with some annotation. For one reason, the staff didn't want to go through the registry system. So it's always very different, very interesting, to consult a topic, seeing in the registry file along with the section file. So if we follow this example of the Lytton report, and we go in the section file, so you see the organization, it's more simple. We don't have the whole structure system of the registry file. Let's go to this Lytton Commission paper. If we go to the file of the Sino-Japanese dispute, we can see letter addressed to the Inquiry Commission by Chinese population from Harbin in Manchuria. If you want to consult the file, you just accept the copyright notice, and you will be able to consult this file, which is a very interesting material for one reason. They didn't decide to go through the registry file for that. And here you will find all the correspondence, which I cannot read, of course, which maybe have been used to draft the Lytton reports. So very unique documents that are available here in these section files. So that was to present you the level of the League of Nations Secretariat. From here, from this browse button, we can go back to this category of archives. And I won't go further on the Secretariat, but it's a first contact. Then we will see the two other fonts of the League of Nations in briefer mode. The first one is the Nansen Fund. So it's the League of Nations Refugees Mixed Archival Group. Very interesting because it contains all the documents related to the activities of Fridtjof Nansen, who was the High Commissioner for Refugees since 1921. And also after he was appointed to be specifically for Russian refugees who had to flee Russia after the Russian Revolution in 1917. And with very few money, Nansen was able to create an identity certificate that was used for these refugees, which were stateless. And very soon, this document started to be called the Nansen Passport, and it's one of very important instrument in the beginning of the refugee activity. So in these fonts, you can see that we have registry files, section files, so now you know the difference. And we have also a third category, which is a hybrid nature, which are called the commission files. It's here, this font is a little complex sometimes to move on the Nansen font. So in this commission file, you will find also registry, non-registry files. But what is interesting is that you will find a document from the Nansen office and its delegation, such as the Berlin office or the delegation in Greece, in Vienna, and so on. So let's take an example of this external office with the representation in Berlin. Here, if you consult all the documents concerning refugees in Germany, you will find documents directly related to each refugee has came to the representation in Berlin to ask for their Nansen passport. So here, if you click again, you will be able to open it. And I should have it. I had it open, but I don't know why it doesn't want to show, because it's a very heavy document. So what we have here, it's all the letters, case by case, organized by alphabetical order. I don't know if I open it again, but it's a shame. Where you will see all the requests of every refugee. We are always and often consulted by individual for family or genealogical research. It's sometimes hard because the names, of course, in Russian and the transcription, it's always hard in Latin character. So sorry about that, because I used to open the document before the presentation because it's always long. And so sometimes it's hard to make a research by the name if the transcription contains a mistake, let's say, or the interpretation of transcript the name. I will go back to the documents when it's open. Meanwhile, I present you the third fund of the League of Nations, which is the external funds. This fund contains the documents from the administrative commissions, which were more or less autonomous bodies established by the League of Nations. For instance, you can find the papers related to the financial reconstruction of Austria, Hungary. Also, you have documents on the
Sorry, I mean, I don't know if it's only for me, but we can't hear you properly. I don't know for the others. Can you hear, Ermin?
Yes, it also broke up for a moment.
Okay, so I think because the document is uploading, so it's taking a lot of the power of the Wi-Fi. So maybe just one.
I think it's my computer. Okay.
One minute back, please.
Yeah, I'm back. You know what? No, because I think while I was trying to open the document, it was so heavy that it finished. Okay, so did you listen on the League of Nations external funds, or do I go back from there?
Maybe you can start the third fund, yeah. That would be great.
Thank you. So that's the third one. Thank you, and sorry for this problem. Here, so these external funds contain the documents from the administrative commissions, which were more or less autonomous bodies established by the League of Nations. For example, you will find the papers related to the financial reconstruction of Austria and Hungary, also the document on the Tsar plebiscite, the commission of Greek and Turkish population, and various offices of the League of Nations outside of Geneva. So also interesting document to be consulted. Maybe even though we have this interruption, I don't know if there is some question until now on these funds of the League of Nations.
You have to take advantage of being such a small group and ask all your questions. We have a specialist, so take advantage of it, please.
Yeah, don't hesitate. Also, of course, after we are here for any consultation further. Okay, so let's continue with the League of Nations archive.
I don't know if Alex had a question because no. Okay.
No, just to show I'm here, I'm listening. But
okay, of course.
No specific question at this point.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let's see now the collections of the League of Nations. So we won't see all of them. I will just mention the official documents collection, which is very important of the League of Nations. So the official document is a concept that you will find in all parliamentary institutions. They are the same official documents, typology of documents that you can find today at the UN. And these official documents are the documents submitted to an organ of the League of Nations, like the Council, Assembly, and the documents were printed and distributed to the state members or the member of the commissions of committees. So in the official document, among a lot of documents, we have 120,000 documents, you will find the minutes of the Council, of the Assembly, and various committees. That can be found here. So here, all the documents have been digitized, and they are available item by item, documents by documents. What is interesting also with this platform is that the official documents of the League of Nations is the official voice of the League, okay? Because they were printed, they have to be drafted in a certain way that they reflect well the position of the member state or the person doing the proposal. And what is interesting is that you have these official documents on the platform and you have the archives. And also it's very complementary to search in both collections, official documents and archives, because in the official documents you will have this official voice, and the archives you will have the more lively document, no? How a report has come to life, what was all the work behind the publication of an official document. So it's very interesting to have that on the same platform. Let's go now to see another collection, so a more lighter one. Let's go to the map collection. This collection is very interesting because it's a collection of maps that have been done at the time of the League of Nations Library. And here the League of Nations Library bought these commercial maps for the activity of the staff of the League of Nations and the diplomats of the member states. They are not mapped, produced by the League of Nations. Thanks to the LONTAT project, we were able to scan all the maps we had of the time of the League of Nations, not the one of the time of the UN, but we hope to receive some other funding to do it. And at least for the League of Nations, you have more than 15,000 maps freely available online. Here, if you want to perform a search, so you can go through the hierarchy, as we saw in the first example, or I will show you how to search within a collection. When you are in a level, when the documents are digitized, where we're interested to search inside, let's say here in the series of the map collection, you just have to go to the image carousel, click on Show All, and here the system will understand that you are going to search within this level, okay? In that case, the map collection. Then you open the advanced search option and you can indicate the term you are interested in. Let's say you want to search Cameroon. French, English, you always have to try the two languages because a lot of documents were also produced in French. Here you find 17 results. I put the term in French. Let's say we want to consult this example of Cameroon and la maladie du sommeil. So I check. In English, I think it's sleeping sickness, if I'm correct. And you are able to download the map as a PDF and to consult. As it has been scanned in a very high resolution, you can go really deep in the map to see some details. Here, you are welcome, of course, to use these maps for your work or to illustrate some of your work. The only thing that you have to be aware is, as I mentioned, they were commercial maps. We don't have the rights of the maps, okay? So it's always a responsibility of the researcher to verify if you are allowed to reproduce the map in one of your publications. In the same kind of collection, we have also the photograph collection of visual material. Here, more than 8,000 photos were digitized. In the same way, if you want to search only in the photograph collection, you can go to the image carousel, click Show All, and in advanced search option, you can put the term, let's say India here to change, and you will have the results of the photos Here again, you can download them in PDF. If you need high resolution, you have to contact us. In some case, you may have a fee. And here, in the case of India, you will see the delegates, the representative of the country at the time of the League of Nations. Okay, I think it's enough for the moment for the League of Nations archives. Let's go to our second category, which is the UN Geneva archives, which is the biggest archive category we have, because the League of Nations represents a little less than 3 linear kilometers, and the UN Geneva archives are nearly 10 linear kilometers. So there is a lot of potentials here. And what we have is the administrative archives of the UN office at Geneva, but also we have the archives of all the UN Secretariat entities based in Geneva. And that's why you will find the archives, for instance, of UNCTAD, the UN Conference on Trade of Development, archive of OCHA, the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, or the archives of UNHCR Chair, High Commissioner for Human Rights. So that means that we have a lot of different topics that's available here. You will see that...
Sorry
yes.
to interrupt you. It's my fault. You may have to reshare your screen.
I think
because
so.
we can't see. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So here, if you want to see the UN Geneva collection, you will see that we indicate what is digitized or not. So mostly the majority is not digitized yet. And also the majority of this collection are not described. So when it's described, you have a link, but you can see that most of them are not described. So here, what is not digitized and not described, you have to contact us. So you always find the link at the bottom of the platform, Ask an Archivist, which that form you can always reach us. And here you can ask us what you want to consult, if you have found the reference online, or how to have access to the inventories of the collection that are not yet described on the platform. We have finding aids, and at the reading room, we will explain you how to find more information on what you are interested in. Here, again, what is important to understand how the archives are organized is thanks to the registry system. Because at the first, the UN replicated the League of Nations registry system, and at the beginning of the UN, it was established the registry in the UN Secretariat, including Geneva. That's why here you will find archive of the registry with 2 administrative periods, first period, second period. And also to complement, we have also non-registry archives. So it's the same case of the League of Nations. We have these 2 subgroups that are complementary, all for the administrative archives. So you will find this dual system, registry and non-registry archives, at the UN office at Geneva, but also at UNCTAD, the Conference on Trade Development, and at UNECE, the UN Economic Commission for Europe. This system of registry was gradually abandoned at the beginning of the 1970s, and now we have 1 category of archives. So let's see how to search, to do a general search in the platform that you can use here. The search bar at the top, or you can go back on the home page, is the same. And let's try to search on the topic of transportation of dangerous goods. So when you generate a search at this point, you will search within the archival description, so the metadata, the title, the scope, the content, if we have a description of the file. And also you will search within the full text of the digitized documents, thanks to the optical character recognition, OCR. So it's important to know where you are searching the term you are indicating here. in this example of transport of dangerous goods, I can see the result, and I can see on the left part these facets that allows to narrow the search. For instance, now that you have a first vision of the categories and the fonts we have, you can decide to narrow only your search on the registry of the UNOG first period. So here you will be within this group. Or you can take it out and you can go only on the second period. Okay. Here in the list of results, we didn't see any thumbnail, which means that the document has not been digitized. We have only the description. If you click on the title, you will find the description we have of the subseries or the files in some case. Okay. So here again, it's very important to contact us to help you to find exactly the reference you are interested in. And we are going to add more description of the UN Geneva archives very soon, especially of the European Central Inland Transport Organization, ECITO, and also Emergency Economic Commission for Europe, which was the commission before the Economic Commission for Europe that was installed right after the Second World War. Now let's go to the third category of archives, which are the private papers. So here in this category, we have received documents which were prepared or used by mostly League of Nations officials during their activities, but we also are starting to have documents from UN officials. For the time of the League of Nations, we will find the papers of the three Secretary General of the League, Eric Drummond, Joseph Avenol, and Sean Lester. And also we have paper of high officials like Adrian Pelt, who was director of the information section and was also appointed as UN High Commissioner for Libya in 1949. Here again, you will see what is digitized or not. Okay, we have indicated, and there is a link. So thanks to the CDHM, the Center for Digital Humanities at the graduate, we were able to publish the paper of Thanasis Aknides, who was a very important Greek barrister, very important at the time of the League of Nations, and also William Martin Hill. That is the last one to have been made available online 1 or 2 months ago. Please note that also we have indicated what is not available for consultation for the moment because the UN Geneva is under a renovation project and the library, the traditional library building is closed for the moment for renovation, and we had to kept the majority of our collection in specific storage, and some of our collection is not available. It's a minority, but we have indicated every time when it's not available currently because of this renovation process. Let's go back now to see the fourth archive category, which is our oldest archives that we have, and it's International Peace Movement. This category contains archives that were bought since the time of the League of Nations Library, because they already had this vision to constitute some collection of archives of people, of pacifists who have acted to peace with their movement before the League of Nations. And one of the collections that was bought at the time of the League of Nations are the Fried Suttner Papers archives, which contain the documents precisely of Bertha von Suttner, who was a very famous Austrian pacifist at that time. And these documents are available online, even though the scanning is now a little old and is not the same quality as the League of Nations, but the documents are available. After that, the UN Library and Archives Geneva has the opportunity to receive the archives of the International Peace Bureau, which is a very important organization at the end of the 19th century, where Henri Lafontaine was president for 30 years, won a Nobel Peace Prize. And that's interesting because this collection was given to the UN Library and Archives Geneva by the after judgment of the Tribunal of Switzerland, because the organization has to be closed. And we have other collections that are available online. Is also the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. This is a collection that we don't hold the original documents. We had a copy of the microfilm, so there is several copies in the world. But because it was often consulted with us, we decided to digitize them, and we had the authorization from currently the WILF to add them online. So you can consult the entirety of these papers. I will stop here with all the archives category and the kind of document that you can find. Please note that here on the platform, if you go to the quick link, you have this help section where you will find how to perform better search on the platform. Especially, you will find the search I presented to you with the image carousel, where you can search within a specific level of the hierarchy. Also, if we go back to the home page, I will just show you a few links. The one is if you want to subscribe to the newsletter, please don't hesitate. We send it 3 times per year. And also from here, you have access to some tutorials we have made, especially on the League of Nations archives, which can help you if you want to start your research on that collection. And on the right, you have this link to the research guides we have made. Here also, we have one for the League of Nations archives to understand how it is organized. And we have an interesting one on the Secretariat of the League of Nations. This one was drafted by several researchers that were specialized in the subject, giving you information on different topics of the League of Nations, on different sections. And on top of the explanation at the bottom, you always have links to archival material. And also from this League of Nations Secretariat Research Guide, you have a link to an interesting platform which has been made by the University of Copenhagen on the League of Nations staff. They use the information of all the files of the League of Nations staff, and they made this database where you can consult what were the position, the nationality of each League of Nations staff, and you can make your own search on this kind of data. I will stop here and I give it over to you, Nivert. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hermine. I have one question for you. Can anybody come directly to the archives to consult a document? How does it work?
No. So you really have to contact us before, because I mentioned to consult what has not been digitized. Often we don't have the description, so we have to provide the inventory of the archives, and we have to explain how to reserve in our calendar. Reserve a seat in the reading room, and there is some security process also that we have to explain. So we need at least 3 days before, but to make sure to have the right references of the box, it's better to consult us in advance, at least 2 weeks before coming. Yes, you cannot just come and not at the door.
Okay. And another question, to access the platform online, do we have to create an account, or we just can go there and consult it, or how that works?
Now, so this time the platform is totally open. So you can just go on archives.ungeneva.org, and it's totally open to search, to download the PDF. No restriction at all. No need of create an account. No fees either.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks
so
to you.
Now we have access. You can see all the services we can offer. What Hermine has mentioned is really archives, but we have also individual online interviews. We have the archive chats. We have you can subscribe to the new newsletter that she mentioned. We have online presentations. We can offer you online presentations like this one to other groups or on a specific topic that you want us to more focus on and to bring more documents on that one specific topic. And we are very happy also to have a lot of partnerships with all the academics and the researcher on history and who might really need the documents in our archives. So these are part of our services, but as Erin said, you can always reach out to us through the Ask an Archivist, and we can always get back to you with some either resources or responses. We have also some resources on that the Library and Archives offers. So we have the UN History Museum in Geneva. It is online now because, as Hermine mentioned, the building is on works, so it's online. There is an online version available, so don't hesitate to visit it. And we will be sharing all these links and the resources afterwards. And we also have the recording, so it's you don't need to take note for now. We'll share it with you. We have also the UN the high, we call it histories, but it's high stories of some very fantastic documents we have, and with anecdotes, with some special histories about historical documents. They are offered by historians, so don't hesitate also to consult this series. We have also UN historical series. That's you can see on the right. So there's historical series on documents that we have in the archive. So it's you can consult them, and it's very also interesting. We have a podcast that's called The Next Page. The Next Page, it's done in-house, and it's on multilateralism and some issues of very interesting and up-to-date topics. So voila, so this is part of our resources, but we have plenty of others, so don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can find us also on social media, so this is the most common ones, so please don't hesitate also to reach out and to subscribe and to consult. We have LinkedIn posts very often, so also they keep you up to date with what is happening a little bit in the archives and the library in Geneva, because as we are in work, so visits are kind of limited, so but we keep you posted via social media, so don't hesitate to consult our social media as well and to subscribe. Voila, I think we reached the end of this session, and I don't know if you have questions, or any queries. Now it's time.
I might just ask a couple of general ones, if that's all right.
Of course.
One's the really boring professor's technical question. When I'm wanting my students to be citing their archival documents correctly, given the range of collections that you've got, when I'm scrolling through, I know the reference code most often appears to be the zone for best citation information. Is that correct, or is that vary according to the collection?
No, yes, and what is described, you always find a ref code, so that's what you have to use. And we have FAQ on the question, because it's a very common question, of course, that we receive. I will send it to you. Of course, as you know, all the citation all depends of the system you are using, but there is some, I send it to you. Maybe I can share my screen. Some information that we mentioned. So if you cite at least UN Archives Geneva, then you can use the abbreviation. We suggest UNAG. It's not very nice, but it's logical. You have the ref code, indeed, the title of the document, of the file. All depends the date and depending of the citation style you are going to use. You may want to use it. And also we recommend, if you consult it online, to use the URL to add it to your description.
Perfect, thanks very much. My second question explicitly goes beyond your scope, but I was going to ask, especially as we have several PhD students on the line, if they're following through their research through your collections and end up wanting to head off to other parts of the UN system, especially elsewhere in the world, Would you be able to help them with any kind of guidance in moving on to, say, the New York institutions or others, at least in terms of where to go to follow up those connections? Obviously, this is not part of your collections, but sometimes
Sure.
these will go through all the other ones as well.
Yeah, of course. No, well, we definitely are in contact with all our colleagues, and we do follow hierarchically the decision and the norms of ARMS, so the section of archives in New York. And also the system we are using on our platform is the same as you will find in ARMS in New York. And that's intentional because we wanted to have one system in which the user get used to and don't get lost when they go to different platforms. So you see is that the one in New York, but it looks really pretty much the same as ours. We can definitely help and send the email or send a recommendation. Then afterwards, of course, all the management of the request will be directly from New York. We're also in contact with all the archives of the international organization in Geneva. So here also we were very open to send the researcher among the different collections, and we have contact and we can facilitate or orientate if we have the knowledge, definitely. Then in the UN, not all the organization has archive sections, so it's not so easy. For instance, UNDP doesn't have any archive sections, and we don't know, to be honest, because we all often receive this question. We don't know where the archives are, so it's problematic. But of course, as much as we can, we help to the researcher and to find the right places.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's normal. Because sometimes people in our archive think that they will find very broader questions, and of course it may have been seen by the Secretariat in New York, so that you won't find this information with us, but then we will orient. Now, I don't know also if you are familiar with the UN documents, because as I mentioned with the League of Nations, that passed, you have archives and official documents which are really complementary. And in the case of the UN, it's a very important resources to know. So you have two platforms when you can consult official documents of the UN, the Digital Library, which is the platform of the Daga Marshall Library in New York, and the UN Library Geneva also. And you have an official document system, but you will find the same official documents. The difference is that with the UN Digital Library, you have librarian working on the platform and you have a lot of descriptions. So it's much more interesting in terms of possibility of document, how you find one document and how it's linked with the other documents. For instance, a resolution and the draft resolution, you will find this information in the Digital Library, which you will never find in the official document system. So it's very good start to consult the official document of the UN if you're interested in that period.
Thank you very much.
If I just might add that we offer sessions on the documents of the UN as well. So there is also a training session we can offer to your students and to show how to use the digital platform. So that's also one session we can also tailor for half an hour or 1 hour, depending on how deep you want to go into this this session. So it is in our offering catalog. So
thank you very much. That's great to know.
Is there already some topics that you know of interest of your student on the UN or the League? I don't know.
See if anybody on the line wants to.
They don't want to tell for the moment. It's a secret.
So I don't know if there is any other questions for Hermine or for us, or how do you find this session? It was helpful. If there is something you've missed or you want us to re-demo or repeat, it's the time.
Maybe it's time to go for lunch, I suppose.
Everybody's hungry.
Yes. It's enough. But yes, so, please, you know how to contact us, so don't hesitate. Exactly. It's easier, and we are not so far, and so we will be happy to help you as much as we can.
Yeah, exactly. So if there's no more question, I think it's time to conclude. And thank you so much, Aidan, for getting us here into the Graduate Institute and to work with these lovely people. And really, it was a pleasure working with you all through the process. And we look forward for other sessions on archives, on UN documents, on other platforms. We are here to help whenever. So please contact us and stay in touch.
Thank you very much indeed. It's my pleasure and our pleasure, and hope this will be indeed a start of many further exchanges, both in this sort of forum and hopefully in others as well. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Bon appétit. Au revoir.
Thank you.
Bon
Bye.
appétit.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 I will just end the event.